Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Women's Hormone Health online event. We are celebrating the Seed Cycle's first birthday. My name is Mel. I am the founder of the Seed Cycle, and we are on a big mission to help women balance their hormones naturally. Here with me, I have Isabella. Isabella is the founder of Let's Talk Period podcast, a community for people who want to talk real, raw, and reputable information when it comes to all aspects of health and well-being. Each week, she smashes stigma and taboos around wellness, chronic illness, periods, reproductive and sexual health, and speaks with thought leaders within the health space. Isabella holds both a Bachelor of Education and a Bachelor of Nursing and works full-time as a registered nurse. Isabella is passionate about educating and supporting the chronically ill community to take action and make informed decisions when it comes to all aspects of their health. So they're not just surviving, but thriving. I love that. Isabella, in 2020, Isabella was announced as a 7 News Queensland Regional Young Achiever of the Year for her important work in this space, as well as being a semi-finalist for the 2021 Soroptimist International Women Empowering Others Award. Whoa. Congratulations on your achievements. So incredible. Thank you for joining us, Isabella.
Thank you so much for having me, Mel. I'm super stoked to be here and chatting with you today.
Thank you. I would love to start off by asking you to share a little bit about your story and your health journey with us all.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's kind of like a long-winded one, so I'll try and be very succinct and not go down too many garden paths. But I am diagnosed with endometriosis and adenomyosis, and that was a bit of a long journey to get to those two diagnoses. And I think people who have a chronic illness can really empathize with that because they probably also have had quite a long journey. So mine started when I was about 14 and I got diagnosed when I was 21. So it took quite a while to get some answers. So I think it can resonate with a lot of people. So yeah. So when I was 14, I started to have my period at 11 and all was going fine for the first couple of years. And then when I was 14, it started to sort of change. It got really heavy. I was needing to sleep on towels. I was doing the fun school skirt check at school, and you just think nothing would be there, but I was bleeding through onto school chairs, and it was just mortifying. And it was just becoming really heavy. And then not only that, it was also beginning to be quite painful. So I'd get back pain the week before my period, and I'd know that my period was on its way. The week before that, I'd get ovulation pain, and then the week of my period, I'd end up with really intense cramping and period pain. So 3 out of 4 weeks of the month, I'd be having not the exact same kind of pain, but some sort of pain for 3 out of 4 weeks of the month. So being not one to, be a sook or anything like that, I was like, oh no, this is what it's like. Periods are uncomfortable, just is what it is. Let's keep going. You've got school, you've got work to do. And then things just sort of started to go downhill from there and get worse. So I think I was in about year 11 when it was finally let's go to the GP and talk about this. Mum, she was also a registered nurse, and she was like, look, I really hope you don't have endo. I'm sure it won't be endo though, so let's not worry about that. So yeah. And that was the first time I'd sort of heard it.
Even the fact that your mum kind of knew about it, because I know, when I think about year 11, it wasn't, we didn't know much at all about.
No. So yeah, I was in year 11 in 2010. So 12 years ago, that sounds like a while ago, 12 years ago. And yeah, that was the first time I'd heard the word endometriosis, but I was like, oh no, it won't be that. It'll be fine. And we just kept pushing through and went to the GP, got put on the pill, which I loved because I could just skip my period, which meant no ovulation pain. no back pain because the period wasn't coming the following week, and then no period pain because I wasn't getting a period. So that was really good for a while. However, I started to experience breakthrough bleeding, and the pill just wasn't really working. So went back and we switched pills another couple of times until the bleeding was really all the time. Like, it wasn't even breakthrough. I was bleeding like every single day. I was anemic, and coupled with that, I ended up having extreme pelvic pain. Like, I didn't know it at the time, but it would have been considered chronic pelvic pain because it was every day, so longer than 6 months. So I was having to call in sick to work. I was trying to do uni at the time, and I was like, how on earth am I meant to go to uni and finish a degree when I'm so exhausted and I need to lay down in bed as soon as I get home from class? And yeah, it was a very, very tricky time. And from there, finally went back to the GP again and was like, look, I really think we need to get this investigated further. My mum came along with me because, as eloquently as I put that, I wouldn't have put it as eloquently to the GP back then because I was about 19 at the time. And, you know, you still need someone there rooting for you and to be there to support you. So I went and got a referral, went and saw the first OB-GYN, and she was like, look, I think you actually might have endo, but I don't operate, so I'll send you to a friend that does do surgery. So I was like, okay, cool, thank you. Went and saw them, and he was like, yeah, it does sound like you have endo. We'll do a laparoscopy and we'll go from there. So went in for surgery a couple of weeks later, and no endo was found. He said, no, you don't have endo, but you do have pelvic inflammatory disease, and that can come from an STD. And how many people have you been sleeping with? And has your partner been cheating on you? And I'd just woken up from surgery, and I was 19 at the time with my mum right beside me. And I was just absolutely mortified that I was being told that I'd had this disease from, like I said, an STD. And he was like, look, it's fine. It's not an incurable thing. Like, we've got your antibiotics and that should clear everything up. Come and see me in a couple of weeks for follow-up. And I'm like, okay, cool. Went and did that. And he was like, yeah, so have your antibiotics for another 2 weeks. And I don't need to see you again until you want to do IVF, because you probably won't be able to have a baby with this PID that you've got. It can make you infertile. So please, like, you know, I don't need to see you anymore. You're all sorted. You should be fine. Come back and see me when you need IVF. And I was like, okay. That was really hard to hear. And I just sat in the car and sobbed. So yeah, trying to like come to terms with all of that. And then I was thinking, oh my gosh, do I need to have a baby now? I'm only 19. I'm trying to finish uni. I'm trying to make my own life, and then all of these decisions. And then I'd taken the antibiotics, and I was like, oh, you know, still recovering from surgery. It's meant to be painful, and things just still weren't working. I'd had an IUD put in just because he said that would help with inflammation. And so I was like, okay. And things just did not get any better. So I think it was about 3 or 4 months later, I went back to my GP and was like, look, this is not getting any better. I've had the antibiotics. I would like a second opinion. Like, can I go and see someone else? So I went and saw somebody else, and he was like, let's change the pill once more. Come back and see me in another 3 months. And I just, again, sat in the car and sobbed and was like, I can't deal with this for yet another 3 months. Like, it was at this point that I was having to skip class at uni, with work as well. It was just, things weren't great. And I found this Facebook group that said like endo support, and I was like, I'm certain that this is what I have now, like pretty sure. So I was like, is there any specialists in Brisbane who know what they're looking for, what they're doing? And I got a couple of names, and I went back to the GP once again, And I got a referral to someone who knew what they were doing. I went in with my surgery pictures, and he was like, I can see endo in these photographs. Like, it's not my work, so I can't say 100% for certain, but this definitely does look like endo in these photos. So I saw them on the Monday and then was having surgery that same week. And I came out of surgery and he was like, yep, we found endo, but we also found adenomyosis. And that was the first time I'd heard that. And so, yeah, it took until 3 weeks before I turned 21 to get answers and to be diagnosed. So that's my very long-winded
Thank you so much
story.
for sharing that. I am sure that there are listeners who are just as surprised as I am. And just even like for me, I'm a mum of a girl, and I think your poor mum trying to get support with you, and and oh my goodness. So that awareness as a mum as well, I think it's just so important.
Definitely. And I think without her pushing to get those referrals, I don't know how long I would have had to wait to get a referral to a specialist, because I think people do try and explain away things when you're younger, because you might be having a bit of a flair for the dramatic and you want attention, and it's just so not the case. And so I think, yeah, it is such a burden to put on parents, but they have such, they just want the best for their child. So yeah.
Yeah, and they're the best advocate for their children.
Exactly.
So tell me about your very, very successful podcast. So how did that come about? When did you start it?
So Let's Talk Period started in 2020, March 2020, because there was nothing else going on at that time. I'd sort of had the idea back and forth in 2019, and I was like, oh, should I do this? Would people listen? Who would want to listen to me? Why should I do this? Like, people might think it's silly, but it came from a place of wanting to create content for people who are chronically ill to get access to information that is evidence-based. So chatting with professionals and experts in their field that's also easy to understand and listen to in an accessible format. So podcasting's free. So there's no barriers there, and it can be listened to all across the world. So I thought that would just be a really great way to make sure there was content available, because I know I would have absolutely loved to have had something like that when I was going through it. Not that podcasting was huge back in high school, but just anything to like make that journey easier for someone else. And so I thought, why not? And then I thought, why not me? You've got that lived experience. You're studying a health degree now. You can do this. So I made the Instagram in November 2019 and was like, right, you're going to launch it in March 2020, because March is Endo Awareness Month, and we'll kick it off with a bang. And so from there, it just sort of took off, and I couldn't imagine the success that it's had and how many people it's been able to help, and the amount of incredible people I've been able to meet because of the podcast. And I think the community that's grown from it has just been the best part. And it's such a close-knit community, and I love the LTP fam. It's just so great, and I just pinch myself that I get to do this and help so many people.
And you would be learning so much for yourself as you go along. That's what I found with the seed cycle this year. Because I started the seed cycle, my attention has gone down the hormone route, whereas before it was very much like functional nutrition and EFT tapping and intuitive eating and that. So it's kind of taken a different direction. And I'm just like learning so much and meeting so many new people and experts. So that's so cool that you're also then getting to take that information and apply it for yourself.
Yeah. That is really cool too. It is a little bit selfish, but I can't not. It has been good.
Yeah. I'd love to know how you're currently supporting your hormones and your body.
Yeah, for sure. So I think when you have a chronic illness, it's really important to have that holistic management. And so finding a whole regime that works for you, and that's not going to be the same for everybody. And there's different people that can help you at different phases in your life. And so for me, currently, I have a treatment plan with my specialist that's working really well. So I currently have the IUD, which it's not for everyone, but I found it helpful for me. And it's really been the only thing that has helped to manage my symptoms. But with that, I also have seen a naturopath previously and a nutritionist, and supporting my body with supplements and trying to not negate, but try and boost and support my body as best as I can with those extra hormonal contraceptives that I need to use to manage my conditions. And then from there, I also love going and seeing my osteopath as well. I get quite a tense lower back because I think people can relate. Pelvic pain arches all the way around. And so my osteo is amazing at releasing that pelvic area and loosening things up. And I think that's really been helpful as well. And then I also have seen a pelvic physiotherapist in the past as well, which was just an absolute game changer, because I think one of the side effects or symptoms of endo is that pain with intercourse, and that's really painful, like vaginismus it would be called, and it is something that's just not spoken about. And so I think working with a pelvic physio has been amazing. So that's something else that I've done to support my body too.
Yeah, I love that it's like you build a team around you, and it's never just one thing, is it? That fixes everything, and it's like a combination of things and trying different things, and then something that might be working might not, and then you have to kind of switch it up. And yeah.
Exactly. And you might have different goals. Like you might want to be working on your mental health, so you might chat with a psychologist, and when things are doing really well there, you might take the sessions back and go back to 6 weekly, and then you can have more room and space for another professional to help you with another goal that you might have. So I think you're so right. It's not just one person, it's so many people.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to ask you for one key takeaway for our listeners.
Yeah, so tricky. I think to listen to your gut and trust your intuition, because even though people might tell you otherwise, you really do know your body best. You know when something's not wrong. And even if you do try and explain it away and push it deep down, it will keep reappearing. It will keep, rearing its ugly head, for lack of a better term. And so I think listen to yourself and don't stop until you get answers, because if I stopped at that first no, you're fine, and didn't keep pursuing it, I don't know what my life would be like. It would be horrible to think that I'd still be in all that pain. So listen to your body and don't take no for an answer. Go and get that second opinion and trust yourself.
And I love that when you were sharing your story, you said, at that point, you're like, I'm pretty sure it's endo, even though, that doctor had just told you it's not. And, it's because of, might be some form of ST, or, that whole and you've just gone, actually, no, I would like a second opinion. And I'm pretty sure it's endo. And that, really just listening to your body.
Exactly. And it turned out that I didn't have PID at all. So I got that horrible scare for no reason. So that was fun.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing your story and joining us. I would love for you to also share where people can find you, where they can listen to your podcast.
For sure. So you can listen to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. So Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Listener, wherever you listen in. If you just type Let's Talk period, it will come up. And then you can find us over on Instagram at Let's Talk period AU. There's also a little Facebook community with over 250 members. So if you just type Let's Talk period community, you can join that. And then I've also started to dabble on TikTok. So that's just Let's Talk period AU as well, if you want to come and join the fun over there.
Cool. We'll add all those links in with the videos, so we'll make it nice and easy for everyone to find you. Isabella, thank you so much for joining us again. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, Mel.
Bye.